set this up beforehand, sorry. The camera we're going to be looking tonight is the DC1400. It's a 14 megapixel camera and it shoots 720 HD video as well. It is a small little camera that will go into a housing. Very small, very compact, fits perfectly into a shirt pocket, a purse pocket, anything else like that. It's got a large 3-inch diagonal screen on the back of it, so as we start getting older and need longer arms to see what we're looking at, it really comes in nice having that big of a camera. We'll get into this in a few minutes, but what we're going to be putting this camera into is just this housing right here. And this is about the same size as my Canon DSLR housing, so it's a very familiar size, fit to it, feels really good in my hand. But this is going to be ready to go with the camera inside of it to 200 feet. Just switching back and forth to video and photography with one push button. Completely rubber coated, it's got a great ergonomic grip. We do have a 5x optical and 6x digital zoom that's controlled by this lever up on front. We've got the shutter button. A lot of digital cameras on the back also have got little clusters of small buttons. You can't see what they're for. Hold water gloves, you go to hit one button, you accidentally hit 4 or 5 buttons. So we've got just 5 buttons on the back of this. With these 5 buttons, we can pretty much do everything with the camera while it's inside the housing that we can do on the outside. If we want to take video, we just hit the top button one time and it switches back and forth between video and photography. If we want to play back to see what we've done, we hit the play button and then just scroll. Once again, using our telephoto, we can go back and see the pictures that have already been taken. We have a focus setting on here. You can either shoot macro photography, which is usually about 4 inches away from your subject. This camera will also let us shoot super macro, where we'd be 1 inch away from our subject and still get a focus set to it as well. Control the flash unit, and then we have a menu setting too that we'll go through some different things here in a little bit. So those are the main 5 functions on the back of the camera. It's some really cool stuff. We'll hook this up real quick, and all I'm going to do is just hook the camera up to the AV cable that comes with it. And turn this on. It worked great in practice.
There we go.
And all I'm doing now is literally projecting the back of the camera up onto the TV. So each one of these different icons is representing some type of information that the camera is set in. Now the most important thing to realize is that this is what's called a point-and-shoot camera. Like with a lot of DSLRs, more expensive camera systems, you do have a manual focus. You can override the camera. This is an automatic focus. There's no way to change the focus on here. So if you're shooting with digital photography, if you push the shutter button halfway down, the camera sends a beam of infrared light out. It bounces off your subject. The camera measures the distance and focuses. That's going to be represented by this white square in the middle of the screen. So all I'm going to do is push the shutter button halfway down. The camera shoots out a beam of light. Oops, let me make one change here. The camera's going to shoot out a beam of light, and as soon as it turns green, at that point, take the picture. If we let up on the picture and it goes back to white, and we just push this down, we could be moving. The camera doesn't know where the focus length is, and so your pictures are all going to turn out blurry. So as soon as you get that green focus square, push the button at that time. That's very, very important to take good photography. It's also important to take good videos. Always get the green focus square before you start your videos as well. Now, SeaLife is the only company out on the market that is making a camera specifically for in-water use. Everybody else is a land camera that somebody's built a housing around. We've got a couple of settings in here, matter of fact, 6 specific settings designed exactly for underwater use, and we'll get into those in a few minutes. The upper left-hand corner here with the little box with the P is what's representing the scene mode. There are 6 underwater settings in this and 26 different land settings with it as well. So it's a great land camera, but it's specifically designed for your use underwater. If we were to go change any of those, I would hit the menu button on the back of the camera, and I just get these easy drop-down menus. So I go easy setup, scene mode. Again, using the telephoto bar up on front, I can navigate through. So I can go into white balance, image size, ISO. Anytime something's highlighted with this blue box, I'm going to activate it by hitting the shutter button. So right now I'm in scene mode. Hit the shutter button, and it gives you a picture of the icon in the upper left-hand corner, and it also gives you a verbiage down below as to what it's for. So this is a manually set parameters other than shutter speed and aperture value. So essentially the camera's pre-programmed in to do what the camera feels it should do. You can set this into a full automatic setting. Now these next two are what makes SeaLife specifically for underwater purposes. And there's one is a dive mode, which is an underwater color correction for depths greater than 25 feet or for less than 25 feet. So if we go to greater than 25 feet and hit the shutter button, you can see how the screen has just turned red. With other cameras out on the market, you either need to have a red filter on the outside of it, do a white balance, or have external light sources to overbalance for the blues and greens. The reds, oranges, and yellows get absorbed by the water column. Get down to depth, everything is blue and green. This amount of red and oranges will automatically reintroduce reds, oranges, yellows for you based on your depth. So you don't need any type of red filters. You don't have to do manual white balance. We have a new little icon over here that shows the scuba diver, and we have it set for 8 to 17 meters in blue water settings. We also have green water settings for local diving as well. Now if I wanted to go to video, I would just hit the video button up on the back of the camera. I get a little film clip up in the upper left-hand corner, and I still have all of the color correction for me as well. So as I'm starting out on the surface, I see this red, but I start to descend through the water column. The blues and greens equal this out, and I'm getting a true representation of the colors based on depth. It's pretty cool stuff. Any questions on that at all? Yes.
8 to 17 meters, so 55 feet. How about deeper than that?
Usually, depending on water conditions, it's usually best at that point to go into external light sources.
Oh,
So
okay, you're saying without external light. Okay, then what would your setting be at that point?
At that point, I would go into menu. I would come down to dive. I would come across to automatic manual flash or a manual flash, photo video light, or a combination. Matter of fact, that's what the next ones would be. With the manual external flash, we do have some control over the shutter speed and aperture value. And the rest of it, if you go into the automatic setting, the camera will do all the work for you. If we continue to scroll across here, we start going into the land settings. And so we have time value where you can adjust the shutter speed, aperture value where you can adjust the opening of the lens, an intelligent scene. If you don't want to choose any of the other scenes, if you're not really sure what it to be, you can put it in intelligent and the camera will choose everything for you. We have a smile detection setting. Just set the camera up, put it on a counter, walk away from it. If somebody smiles, the camera will automatically take a picture. We have an anti-shake mode, so when you get your green focus square, if you're in a little bit of a surge down in Cozumel, or you've had one too many cups of coffee and got a little bitty shake going on, the green focus square will continually focus in this setting. It will come at the expense of about 10 minutes of additional battery life by continually fine-tuning your focus, but it's going to be the best possible picture for you. Panoramic is one that's worth taking a look at. If you're trying to do a picture of a big shipwreck, and you can't work everything into one picture of it, we can set this up into panoramic. And now I've got two little arrows, either flashing left or right. It says which direction am I going to go with my next picture. You'd need to set this up with the camera before you put it in the housing, because you can't activate these little buttons while it's in the housing. So I'm going to go to the right with my next picture. So I'm going to be coming this way. So what I'm going to do is just start taking a series of pictures. On the left-hand side of the screen is going to be a little sliver as to where I left off. Works best with a tripod to try and line everything up. Okay. Now this is going to be a 3-picture sequence taken. Recording. And there's my finished product. So the camera is going to stitch everything together. So if you're trying to take a picture of a big shipwreck or a big group of people or a coral head or something like that, you can take it with the panoramic setting. It's really, really cool. So once it's set in the camera inside the housing in panoramic, all we'd have to do to get it back out would be to hit menu, come down to scene mode, and start working our way across again. So we can go back into the underwater settings. So we have a skin soften. It's going to hide small blemishes on the faces. We can do de-blemishing, where it will remove blemishes off of faces. We have portraits of men and women. Just different focal lengths for different softnesses of the shots. We have landscape settings, we have a sports setting. My youngest son is a big soccer player, and if I had the green focus square and he kicks a soccer ball, I can usually shoot this camera in about 1/2000th of a second, and I can stop that ball from spinning to the point of reading the logo. So it's a very, very fast shutter speed with the camera as well. Now each one of these settings also is going to choose the proper f-stop and shutter speed for you automatically based on that shooting condition. So we can take pictures of people at night, pictures of things by candlelights, or night scenes, the moons, the stars. Candlelights, you can take fireworks displays, pictures of texts, sunsets, sunrises, splash water, slow water. If you ever see a picture of a big waterfall, it looks like a sheet of satin coming over. They use a slow shutter speed so that the water forms this big curtain coming over, really nice. Take pictures of snowy days, or a beach, or of pets, or anything with green natural tints to it. So all of these are different land shooting modes that the camera can do as well. Somebody's going to come up to me though and says, well, that's all fine and dandy, but I'm going down to the Bahamas and I'm going diving to 45 feet. What's the best setting for me? I don't know. Is it white sandy bottom, dark sandy bottom, bright sunny day, a lot of particulates in the water? So what we're going to do is hit menu. We're going to go to the very first one called Easy Setup. We're going to activate that. Am I going to be on land or am I going to be underwater? I'm going to go underwater, so I activate that with the shutter button. Am I going to be using the camera by itself? Yeah, let's just use the camera. So I can either go diving at greater than 25 feet, snorkeling at less than 25 feet, hit the shutter button. That was easy. The camera does all the work for me. I hit the video button once again, and the proper color correction is put back into my field of vision. If I come back down to menu, easy setup, underwater, I can now set it up for 1 or 2 external flashes, 1 or 2 external photo video lights, or a combination photo video light and a strobe as well. Now one really neat thing, if we go to the strobes, if we went into video in a strobe mode, there's not a consistent full-time on switch for the going back and forth between video. So if I'm in double strobe, all I would have is blue and green video. But the camera knows enough in this setting to automatically kick the reds back into it for my field of vision. Take it back over, hit the video button again, it clears up all of the red, so you have the external flash mode set and you're all set to go again. It's pretty smart. Any questions on that at all?